Just a footstep away from the brutality of the Eastern Avenue, we have the glorious little River Roding. Such a beautiful day today. It's the 24th of February and it feels like spring is really here. What better thing to do on a day like this than take a wander along this beautiful little river, the River Roding. This is actually one of my favourite little walks along here. Long-time viewers of the channel may remember the videos I made probably 3 years ago now, so it's overdue a revisit, although I don't expect it to have changed very much. One Sunday, about a month ago, I hadn't been out for a walk, and so I suddenly headed out about an hour before sunset and walked that last hour along here, and it was really, really wonderful. First of a collection of really quite interesting and lovely bridges over the River Roding. Forget the bridges of Madison County, here's the bridges of the Roding Valley. This section of the River Roding here is flowing through Wanstead. The Wanstead, the White House, Wodenstead. I was up here yesterday to be given a little tour of the churchyard and the church of St Mary's, Wanstead, a really glorious church, and still has a very active and quite sizable congregation. However, their regular services are under threat for some reason. So there is a Save St Mary's campaign. I'll try and link to it below. I've been asked a few times about the viability of kayaking or canoeing on the Roding. When you see it here, you think that looks like a reasonable idea. Further along, it looks a little bit trickier, and the water at the moment is actually quite shallow. Here we have our next bridge. It's amazing the variety of bridges on this river. I suppose because they were all built at different times. Here we have a fantastic old pumping station. Great cathedrals to the Victorian industrial age, aren't they? Now, I saw a little grass snake along here once. I was walking along in the morning. I doubt I'll see anything today, but you never know. Just stopped back there by the pumping station to make a little video talking about the things I take on a walk with me. Sean, South London gardener Sean, walking the London Loop Sean, he requested it, and I'll upload that as a separate video though, but it means that I've been sat there for a while, so I better crack on. All hail the pylon. Sounds like a rather obvious thing to say, but with river walks, it does make a difference which side of the river you walk on. And the first few times I walked along the Roding, I walked on the other side there, which is like a big park, you know, mown grass, and it takes you right underneath that pylon. Whereas on this side, you're sort of within this sort of bramble-covered bank. You've got the pylons here. And then you've got these industrial units that run alongside the Roding. The first time the jacket comes off after winter is always a magical moment, a day that is marked in the memory for a long time. 24th of February 2019. Look, here I am, just a shirt. I could even just be down to a t-shirt if I was a little bit more adventurous, but it's a big moment. No jacket. This is where we pass beneath a number of big busy roads. I think as we're approaching Woodford, or in Woodford, I think we've got a combination of the North Circular, the Woodford Avenue, maybe a little bit of a feeder road for the M11. It's across the busy road here. I think this is Charlie Brown's roundabout, and there is some delightful old footage on YouTube of Charlie Brown's roundabout being built. I believe there was a pub here, wasn't there, called the Charlie Brown? I know there's going to be several people in the comment section who will know all about this. I should have said this back at the beginning of the walk. The roading rises up near Wanstead Airport, I think. I can't remember the exact name of the little the village where it rises. And it makes its way down through the Essex countryside. And then its confluence with the Thames is down at Barking. I've walked it as far as Abridge. I have crossed it at other points further north, but it's a little bit more difficult to follow after Abridge. The footpath doesn't run along the river, so you're zigzagging across it. But I would like to go and walk the upper reaches of the Roding at some point, because it's such a beautiful, magical little river. There's some glorious bird song in the trees and bushes on the riverbank here. The birds are obviously very happy that the weather's improved. The path here is so overgrown, I don't think that's actually legitimately passable, so I'm going to have to go up the little service road here that goes to the waste disposal sort of recycling area and see if I can get back on the river further up. If you're interested in the idea of edgelands, you could do no worse than walk along the River Roding. It's classic edgelands in the urban part of it anyway. Got everything you could want along here. Now I do remember actually going along this little sort of alleyway here, so that's the way ahead. A couple of different generations of Thames water facilities here. The more recent utilitarian brick block on the right, and the more picturesque, what I would guess, is a Victorian utility over there, close to the banks of the river. The Wyn Valley pumping station. And now we're back on the banks of the River Roding. Here we have another bridge across the river. I don't think any two bridges have been the same so far, have they? I think here we start to see the terrain around the river open up slightly, passing through Woodford Still, heading towards Buckhurst Hill. And the wooded hills there rising in the distance, which I guess must be the edge of Epping Forest. How good does it feel to have a 5:30 sunset? It's fun, isn't it? Just that extra sort of hour from a month ago is enormous. It really feels like we're being propelled into a glorious summer. It's just after 4 now, about 4:15. And this is obviously, as I've said, probably on every walk, this is the time when the magic happens. This is glorious. It uplifts the soul as you walk into the sunset. So a little bit of a decision point coming up ahead is when we get to Roding Valley. That's where you can't carry on to Buckhurst Hill. You have to kind of go up the hill and then around to rejoin the river. So I'm not entirely sure what I'll do there. Let's wait and see. We've still got a little way to go before then, and actually a really glorious section of the river. The Roding Valley hinterland. So peaceful here. I suppose it's the time of day, and also as the river kind of frees itself from the urban fringe. It's interesting, I have no memory of this housing estate here beside the river. Makes me wonder whether it's been built in the last sort of 3 to 4 years. This is where I am. So it looks as though this estate is right part of the old London Guildhall University Sports Ground. That's my alma mater. I believe the word meander is the name of a river in Turkey. Now, I extrapolate that information from the title of a book where a guy kayaks along the meander in Turkey. It's a book I really need to read, isn't it? So here we have the bridge that carries the central line over the River Roding. It's a really majestic structure, isn't it? This is one of my favourite little stretches of the river here. It's where my first walk along the Roding ended, and I think I may end today's walk here as well. At the other side of this recreation ground, you have to depart from the river and work your way up through the streets of Buckhurst Hill and do quite a big loop to rejoin the river. At the park where I was recently, if you look at the video, I go to Linda's Field. That's the continuation of the Roding there. I just walked the far end of this recreation ground here, where the allotments are, and where the Roding then can be left in peace for a while before it gets to the Roding Valley recreation ground there at Buckhurst Hill, where we were just before Christmas, really. What a really wonderful walk. I'm so glad I came back out here today to mark really what I hope is the beginnings of spring. Never be too sure, it did snow twice in March last year, so but no, not this year. Anyway, again, thanks again for coming with me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next walk, wherever that may be.